everyone, and welcome to the Koala Club podcast, a podcast made by and for international students in Australia. I am Kevin.
And I am Trang, and we talk about everything education, work, and lifestyle for overseas students in Australia. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Koala Club podcast, Kevin. How are you today?
Good, Chan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Just surviving this lockdown, but
Yeah, well,
how are you going?
Yeah, when I say good, I mean not so good, but yeah, with the lockdown, we as of an update. Hold on, I'm not get the date right this time. Right, this Saturday, 24th of July. Yeah,
Correct.
we are still in lockdown. So 2 weeks ago we talked about this, and now it looks like we're not gonna even end this lockdown next Friday.
No, it doesn't. The numbers seem to be increasing, so it doesn't look like it's moving in the right direction. But as long as we're safe at home, I think we're pretty grateful for that. And we're pretty lucky here in Australia too. I saw in the news that in Vietnam, the numbers are climbing really rapidly, and that's pretty worrying because we both got family in Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly. Like in Vietnam, I think just yesterday they got about over 6,000 cases in total. So yeah, it's really terrible, and we're very worried for our family. Yeah, luckily they all right. They still just stay at home and be safe. And that's the same thing we're doing here. We just, at least in New South Wales, we just staying home for the lockdown. Like you said, pretty grateful that we can work from home and we still have employment, whereas a lot of other people just like lost their jobs due to COVID lockdown and all. That's really bad.
For sure. Okay, so today we're going to talk about a day in the life of an international student versus a day in the life of a full-time worker.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good timing to do this more like a light-hearted conversation, right? It's a more light-hearted topic during this lockdown. And after our few first episode is very heavily in research and stuff like that. So yeah, this is just like a normal convo. We didn't even see our notes. We kept our notes secret.
Yeah, we
So
thought we'd
yeah.
switch it up a little. I guess the biggest difference that I find between being a full-time student and a full-time employee is the time flexibility. So when you're a student, you have a lot more free time and you can sort of structure your day around the fixed time slots of lectures and tutorials. But apart from that, you can schedule your time to study and time to work around that. And I think that's the biggest difference between back then and now when I'm working full time. Obviously, the day is probably 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, and you structure your free time around that big time block. Do you find the same with that, Kevin, with being an engineer?
Yeah, definitely. In when I was a student in uni, it was more flexible, right? Like you structure your time around lecturer and tutorial classes and your casual and part-time work. But when you're a full-time worker, it's definitely more rigid. Like you have to do at least 8 hours a day. And for me, as a civil engineer, is sometimes it's quite flexible. Like I can start at 7:30 a.m. in the morning or 8 a.m. Or if I have a really early day work, I can start at 7 on the side. And if I start early, I finish early about 3:30. If I start like 8, I finish at maybe 4:30 or 5. Also, the other difference I encounter, I don't know if you have similarity in this, is do you find that being a full-time worker is kind of less stressful? Like you are stressed at work maybe, but like as in if when you finish your day work, given that your work is not super stressful, you probably can switch off and enjoy the evening with your family, and whereas when you were a full-time international students, when you finish the day but you have to study at night time, you have to worry about assignments and deadlines and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree. So when you're a student, you come home from uni, but then you think about all the homework that you need to do and all the assignments that you need to complete and exams coming up and preparation for the next day. So I guess you never really switch off being an international student. I completely agree with your point. With being a full-time worker, I guess it sort of depends on how your day went and what kind of pressures and deadlines you had during the day. Sometimes, personally, I do find that it's hard to switch off after work as well. So I guess that's where the line between work and personal life becomes really important. So you should not gray out that area. And it's definitely harder during COVID because you're working from home. So
Yeah.
you don't have that separation between work and personal life. Like you don't turn off your computer and then drive home. You just
Mm,
literally close your
that's right.
laptop and then you go to your living room. So
That's very true.
yeah, so that line is blurred. But in saying that, like there are days when I do discipline myself. So I say, okay, I'll finish work at 5:30 today. I'll turn off my laptop. I won't think about work and I go for a walk or do some yoga or workout session. And that's sort of the transition for me to my personal life. And then in the evenings, yeah, I just spend time doing my hobbies. I watch a movie or spend time with my husband. So yeah, I definitely enjoy that perk of being a full-time worker.
Definitely same thing here. Like I have to have certain process for me to switch off and switch on between work and personal life at home. Like I'll probably get dressed up like how do I go to a normal work day in the morning and then step in my home office, do my work. And when I finish around 4 p.m. or something like that, I'll just try to shut down all my computer, put the work computers away and, change back into the home clothes. And like you said, go for a walk or something. So, yeah, that definitely helps. Otherwise, you'll be stuck like just checking emails or, like just do a little bit of work here and then at nighttime too. And that's not good.
Well, I'm impressed that you get changed to work
Oh,
clothes
did you not?
to work from home. No, I don't.
Did you
I
not?
just
Did
wear
you?
normal clothes.
Oh, you don't tell me you were working in your pajamas or something like.
Well, not pajamas, but like just casual clothes. Like we would just have meetings and everyone would be wearing hoodies or t-shirt
All
or
right,
something. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I still wear hoodies, but I think I kind of like put on a jeans instead of just like a track pants or something because I probably can deal with the upper body. That makes sense. But if I'm in a track pants at home, I'm too comfortable and I probably cannot do any work.
Well, I'm impressed.
That's interesting. I'm impressed by your ability to do quality work with just normal clothes. I could not do that. So for me as an international student, we already said it's quite flexible. Your whole timetable during the week kind of depends around the if you can enroll in the right tutorial slots for your classes or not. For lectures, it's kind of fixed, right? Lectures just tell you the time, and you can go. Or you can go, or you can choose to not go. But there's not really any attendance during lectures. But if you can't go, you probably can't catch up with the lessons. So you should go. But for tutorial class, it's kind of compulsory, and there are different time slots, and you have to pick the one that you want. In Wollongong University in particular, they have like a platform called SOULS. I don't know if you still remember it. Yeah, UW SOULS, SOLS. And what happens is they have a time, right? You probably remember this, say 8 p.m. Thursday night, that they're gonna open this tutorial enrollment. Seriously, it is like the Hunger Games, right? Everyone, all the slots
Yep.
was out booked by 1 minute, not even 1 minute, maybe 10 or 20 seconds. Yeah, I don't know if you remember that, Chang. What's your experience with it?
Yeah, I definitely do remember that hype. And you describe it perfectly, saying it's the Hunger Games because, yeah, so they tell you, okay, the tutorial slots will be open at 8. So everyone would literally wait by their laptop and click
Mm,
into
refresh,
that
refresh.
enrollment site on Souls at 8.
Yep.
And all your preferred tutorials would be out like within 20, 30 seconds. So you
Exactly.
seriously got to be on your best
Yep.
game to click and
Yeah.
pick your preferred
Yeah.
tutorial.
And if you miss it out, like oh damn it, I missed the Friday afternoon. Oh, now the only slot back is like Wednesday morning. Could be like you have one class in the afternoon, so you plan to say do casual part-time job or sleep in the morning, and all of a sudden you have to turn up at uni at 8 o'clock to do a one tutorial class, and then the next class is like 2 p.m. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, for sure. So on the bright side, it makes you think fast on your feet because you immediately see that your tutorial slot is gone. So you're like,
Yeah.
okay, what's the next best
What's plan
option?
B? What's
Oh,
plan
I
B?
see.
Oh, plan C. Exactly. Yep. Pretty much. Sometimes because these tutorial slots they open probably 1 or 2 weeks before the session starts. So sometimes for international students like us, before all this COVID lockdown, you may be even doing it at your home country. We're from different time zones. So, I remember up at 1 a.m. in Vietnam and try to log on. And yeah, it's certainly memorable for sure.
I'm glad I didn't have to do that whilst I was in Vietnam because I was always in Australia before session starts. So and with the internet connections too, you probably be like a few minutes delayed in
Yeah,
Vietnam.
yeah, true.
Yeah, so with lectures, I don't know about you, Kevin, but with commerce and accounting subjects, every subject we have about, I think, one lecture per week, but they would do it twice. So one in the morning and one in the late afternoon. So if someone can't make the morning, they can make the afternoon lecture. And they actually did record some of the lectures as well. So if you can't be in the lecture hall in person, you can tune into the video recording of the lecture whenever it suits you. And that actually was my preferred option because when I structured my days when I was an international student, I would always try and leave 1 or 2 days free so that I can either work that whole day, so work part time, or I can spend that whole day studying in the library or doing assignments. Because I find that when you've got like a tutorial every day at like 9 or 10 in the morning or random times at 2 or something, your day is broken up and you can't concentrate well because you'd be studying for 1 or 2 hours and then you go to class and then go back to the library and then have to walk around to find a spot to sit in the library and then you can actually get started to study. So when I structured my week during the uni sessions, I would always leave a couple of days free so that I could do whatever I want or just have a full day of studying. I guess you could always structure your classes around those days if you can get your preferred tutorial slots. Otherwise, you will have to make do and schedule your work around your uni timetable too.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, a typical I say if I get my preferred time slot correctly, say if I get all my classes in the morning, I'll be just normal wake up, have breakfast cereal with eggs or unhealthy food like instant noodle or something. What do you normally have for breakfast?
I think with our upbringing in Vietnam, we are so used to having a savory breakfast and we'd have a different
Yeah,
thing every day. So we'd
yeah.
either have noodle soup or stir fried
Mm,
noodles or fried rice or sticky
yeah,
rice.
yeah, yeah,
But obviously in Australia, and especially because we live in Wollongong, we don't have those options available to us.
yeah,
So we have to quickly get used to eating cereal. So that's
yeah,
a very common breakfast here in Australia
yeah.
and I guess in many Western societies too.
It's quite an adjustment, is it, from very like heavy breakfast to like very light and quick.
Yeah, so in the morning, I usually have cereal for breakfast and I try to make it healthier by adding fruit to it. But I have to admit, there are days when I feel like having a savory breakfast, so I would have instant noodles or instant
Yeah,
porridge.
I'm on the
That's as
opposite.
close.
Yeah. See how you eat your cereal very healthy. I got cereal, just normal full cream milk, and I even add a bit of condensed milk to it. So I actually are very unhealthy when you actually add fruits.
Wow, that is another level to cereal. I've never thought that you could add condensed milk to it, but that's a good
Yeah, so
idea.
it give you a sweet taste, but I don't think it's very healthy.
And also because when you're a student, you're on a budget as well. So
Yeah,
cereal would be the best budget option
yeah,
for
yeah.
breakfast.
Imagine as an international student, every morning you go and you have like a pho for like $17. You'll be rich kid student.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so after breakfast, I go to uni and say have my lectures, have my tutorial classes. It's normally go say 8:30 to 12:30. That is four classes, so maybe two lectures and two tutorials. And after that, just have lunch in either in uni or near my work. For lunch, I normally try to have take home food, which is just my simple, not so delicious cooking. But most of the time, I guess I just gave up and gave in and bought whatever food available in the uni food court, sushi, pizza, fish and chips, that sort of stuff. I guess your lunch option is were quite more healthy.
Most of the time I would pack my own lunch, so whatever leftovers I have for dinner. But there are days when I feel like I should treat myself and I buy something from the uni food court.
Mm.
And I do really enjoy eating lunch at uni because you got your friends on campus as well. So at lunchtime, you can message your friends and you can meet up somewhere on campus and eat lunch together. And I think that's one of the highlights of being on the uni campus is that you see your friends all the time, whether it's between classes or at lunch or just randomly walking past each other and saying hi. And you always see other people you know around uni as well. So if you happen to be walking by someone you recognize from class, then you might strike up a conversation and have lunch with them. So
Yeah.
being on campus definitely gives you that opportunity to connect with other people better. So I really hope that the pandemic will finish soon so international students can come to Australia and experience that.
Yeah, it's much more fun studying on campus rather than study online, right? Because you got to make friends and meet your friends every day and say go for coffee together and stuff like that. Also at lunchtime in uni, there are quite a few activities like lunchtime sports or like lunchtime classes. Remember those yoga classes that like you went to and then I went to with my best friend Nam at the time, and we were the only two boys in the class full of girls.
Yep, I definitely remember that. So being on campus at lunch is so fun because there's always activities around campus, and sometimes there's free food and games on the lawn and stuff like that, and that yoga session that you mentioned. So I think I
Yeah.
was part of that yoga club, and somehow I managed to lure you and Nam in.
Yeah, did you invite us in, or did you say like you should come? Because I just want to clarify that we went to that classes as two only boys in the class, but mainly because we were playing soccer a lot, and we wanted to use yoga to like kind of avoid injury and make us more flexible. That's it, like. But at the time it looked so weird, two boys.
Yeah, I think I was setting up that club with a few other people I knew on campus. So we set that club up. But at the time, there weren't that many people interested in yoga on campus. So we didn't really hit it off. So
Oh
yeah,
wow,
it
you
became
set the club up. I didn't even know. I thought you just like oh, so you want the co-founder of the Wollongong Yoga Club. Oh, nice.
yes, I was. But quickly, yeah, dissipated.
Oh, that's pretty good. I didn't even know that. So I guess after lunch, we just have a little breakfast for myself, and normally I start my casual work around 1:30 p.m. in Wollongong Mall. I was working as a waiter in one of the sushi restaurants, and I think I start about 1:30, finish about 9:30 ish, and have one break in between, so like 8 hours of work. That is like a full normal day with classes in the morning and then work in the afternoon. And pretty much when I finish work, go home, is already late and have dinner and just go to sleep.
Yeah, that's a very typical day that you've just mentioned. So my typical day being an international student is very similar to yours. So have classes in the morning or in the afternoon and then head off to work. But I guess it depends on what work you have too. So at the beginning, I used to work at a restaurant. So I would start work at 5 p.m. So I'd study during the day and then go to work at 4:30 to start at 5 and then finish at 10 p.m. and come home. So agree with you, Kevin, that a day as an international student is pretty full on because you've got classes the whole day and then you've got work as well and you come home and then you have dinner and maybe squeeze in a few hours of study before you go to bed. But as I got roles and being a casual employee at the uni in my second year onwards, that made a big difference because I would work a couple hours during the day. So you could sort of schedule your classes around those work hours. And being on campus, it's a lot more convenient too. You don't have to travel to and from work. But I guess I want to say that there is no typical day of an international student as well, because every day is sort of different. You've got different classes, and some days you don't have classes. So you're like spending the whole day in the library and you look up and it's like 5 p.m. Or you've got days where you're filled with classes back to
Mm.
back, you meet a lot of people, and then you've got work as well. So I guess
Yeah.
every day is up and down, but
Yeah.
that's why it's so interesting being an international student because every day, no day is the same, and you meet different people every day.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so next we're gonna talk about a typical day of a full-time worker in Australia. It's a vastly different from your day as an international student. How's your day as a full-time employee is like, Chan? Can you walk us through some details?
So being a full-time worker definitely needs some adjusting too, because I found that when I first started working full-time, every day I would come home feeling really tired. And especially because you're switched on mentally
Mm,
between 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, so 7 or 8 hours a day, and you're constantly switched on and interacting with other people in a professional setting. I think that's quite draining. So I would come home feeling very tired, and on the weekends I would just spend time to recover. So there is definitely that transition period between being a student and then moving on to being a worker, because yeah, you're working full time instead of studying a few hours and then having a break or going to work for a few hours. So I guess a typical day in the life of a full-time worker for me, well, this is before COVID. In the morning, I would either try to go to the gym or work out, and then get home and then get ready and then commute to work. And I'd start work around between 8 to 9. It also depends on what role I had as well. So we'd have like meetings with managers or meetings with clients when I was working at the accounting firm. And then I'd have hours where I would just be doing work, like performing work. But I guess my role became more varied when I became a finance analyst and now as a financial accountant. So you working in an actual business itself, you would be liaising with other members of the business, whether that's the marketing department or IT department. So your day you would be filled with meetings, and there are always a lot of projects going on, and you have deadlines and pressure. You sort of have to prioritize your workload, your tasks, and also work around your meetings as well. So a day being an employee is definitely more full on, I guess, and you're constantly switched on and using your brain power. But at lunch, well, I would usually bring lunch, or I would eat out with colleagues. So I think that's one of the similarities with being at uni, is that at lunch you go out with your colleagues instead of your friends, and eventually your colleagues become your friends too. Do you find the same, Kevin? Do you go out for lunch with colleagues too?
I think it's kind of different for me, at least in the construction industry, because I have worked for probably ever since I started counting my internship. All my internship is different from my internship. My first job is my internship working as a civil engineer intern in Sydney Olympic Park Council. So I find that working in the government space, government organizations, everyone tend to interact socially with each other more. So like they went to half an hour lunch together, or they went to a walk or something like that. I guess because it's more relaxed environment where deadlines and stuff, they still have deadlines, but it's not that stressful. It's more relaxed environment. But when I start my full-time work as a civil engineer, I have worked for probably three private companies, and they are all very typical construction companies, and everyone is very busy, including yourself. For me, the difference is, say, in my day, morning I start normally very early. Most construction sites starts at 7 a.m., and that's mostly most of the time I start at 7 as well. So it's too early during the day, so I kind of grab like very light breakfast, like some yogurt, small yogurt, or some small bowl of cereal, and with a coffee, because yeah, I can't like work during that early without any coffee, so I have to grab a coffee. For lunch, most people will just eat very quickly. If inside an office, we still eat at our desk. I know it's kind of unhealthy, but most people just heat up the food and go to our desk and eat it and finish lunch in like 10 to 15 minutes, and then start work straight away after. I think it's kind of unhealthy, and slowly, like at the start, I was overwhelmed by the culture change, and I thought like I should just do the same as everyone else, and that's what I did. But over time, I realized like it's really unhealthy, and it made my afternoon really exhausting, and I can't even focus on work in the afternoon. So
Yeah.
I changed, I switch it up, and then instead of eating at my desk, I went out and eat at the kitchen, or I went out for a walk for like even just 10 minutes walk, just get my mind off work. Yeah, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I've definitely seen that. So it's very common in the workplace for people just to eat at their desk. And
Mm,
especially when you're so busy, like I fall into that trap too, where you're literally just putting food in your mouth whilst working. And I agree, it's very unhealthy because you're not switching off, you're not giving yourself that break. And now I try to discipline myself and say, when it's lunchtime, if you're really busy, you can still take 10, 15 minutes off. So go and eat somewhere else, not at your desk. So
yeah,
either in the work kitchen, or if there's a park outside, then quickly go out and just eat and just take some time to get some fresh air as well. And if you can
yeah,
squeeze in a walk, that's even better and just
yeah,
clear your
definitely, yeah,
mind. That will really, yeah, help with your productivity in the afternoon because if you don't have that break, your productivity
yeah,
actually
definitely.
goes down if you don't have that lunch break. Also, another difference I noticed being a full-time worker is that you need to schedule in your life admin tasks during your lunch. So if you need to pick up something from the post office or go see the dentist or something, then you need to squeeze that in during your lunch break. Whereas when you're a student, you definitely have that time flexibility to pop out of uni and go grab something from the shops or go quickly grab some groceries or go to the post office. But when you're a full-time worker, because on a typical day you'd finish at 5 or 6 when everything is pretty much shut in Australia,
Yeah,
except for like
true.
restaurants and nightclubs.
Yeah,
Like all
true.
businesses are shut. So you need to squeeze in all your tasks at lunch. So that's something that definitely needs you take some getting used to. Yeah. So how about your mornings? Like I know you sometimes start really early at 7 and stuff. So do you have time to squeeze in a workout in the morning or?
Yeah, I used to try like when I was working in Sydney, I had to leave home. I have to start driving around 5:30 to reach work at 7. So it's really early. But when before, when I haven't got kids, I used to try to wake up at 4:30 and go to the gym for like 45 minutes and drive straight to work. I think I kept that up for about 1 week. And then after
Wow,
that,
that's really impressive.
yeah, and after that, I just gave up because I just couldn't continue. So these days, I still start early, around 7:30. But it helps working from home, so no travel. So in the morning, I just do light exercise like yoga and stretching to get my body out of sleep stage, and have normal breakfast. This day working from home, right? I have just a light breakfast and a coffee, and I start working. And yeah, in the morning I start with just checking emails and to see if there's any urgent things that need addressed to. And then after that, I start with my main task of work, which in right now is just estimating and tendering and try to win projects for the company in civil projects. These days working from home, I kind of wait until like 8 or 8:30 when my wife and my kid wake up, and my wife kind of just woke up a really delicious breakfast, just and like toast and eggs, or avocado or something like that. Yeah, that's a perk of being at home, I guess. But also, it makes me getting fat, and especially with exercise.
Now that you've mentioned it, like because now we're working from home and I've sort of described my morning pre-COVID, but now that we're during the pandemic, we're working from home. In the morning, I try to, well, I emphasize, I try to wake up earlier and like do a workout or do
Yeah,
some yoga and meditation before work. And because we're not commuting to work, I think we should try and make use of that time wisely and get some benefits out of that time when you're normally sitting in the car or sitting on the train going to work. Because
yeah,
as we both know, when we were working
yeah.
in Sydney, our commute would be anywhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yep.
So if we can make use of that time better now and benefit ourselves and our health, we definitely should. So
Yeah, I totally agree. And it gives you a head start, like you feel like your mind is clearer because of it, and you work better as well. So yeah, after breakfast and morning exercise, whatnot, just get stuck in my big task of the main task of work and just get started. And I guess the benefits, that's a difference as well. Pre-COVID, I still work in my current role now. I'm more like in the office, central office, and I still do project management. I still go to site, construction site sometimes, but I don't have to be there 24/7. But the difference in working from home is you don't have people interrupt your work, and whereas at work even you were in the office but people just walk by and we may have casual chit chat, or they may ask you about something work related but not really a priority at that time. So with working from home, I feel like I have a good 3 to 4 hours period in the morning where I can just focus solely on my main task and work out a good chunk of work. And all the meetings during COVID lockdown will be scheduled via Zoom at a certain time. So like you kind of expected at that time you got meetings, and you don't have any unexpected conversation or meeting pop up when you were deep in thought in your working. So yeah, I guess that's a benefits of it.
Yeah, you do raise a good point with working from home is that you have no disruptions. Because being in the office, you get all sorts of office noise. I don't know if you know what I mean, but like with like say the
Mm,
printer going off and the photocopier and people walking by and
yeah.
talking to each other and then chit chat. And I do miss those casual conversations you do have with your colleagues, like how you
Yeah.
going and how's your day going, how's your weekend. Definitely do miss that social aspect of being in the office, but working from home, definitely you get that big chunk of time where you can just concentrate and get a lot more work done. So I definitely find that I'm more productive at home. So when you're working from home now, about what time do you finish work? And what do you do afterwards?
Yeah, so these days I normally start around 7:30 and I finish at 4 p.m. I think that's actually a very good working hours for construction worker, because at my old jobs I had always started at 7 and finished at 5 p.m. even when I was working in the office. It is kind of a typical structure day for construction worker. Doesn't matter if you're an office worker or site worker. It's just an unspoken rule in your construction industry where yeah, your contract still says 40 hours work plus any additional hours needed to complete the work, but everyone just works 7 to 5, which is 10 hours a day, because the site start at 7 and finish at 5. So and if you say get up at 3:30 or 4 p.m., you probably be the only one in the office do that, and that's not a good thing. So for now, is my current role is actually very good, normal and flexible working hours. So I start 7:30, finish at 4. After 4 p.m., when I finish work, I just shut down everything, close my computer, and change to normal clothes at home, and maybe go out for a walk, maybe drive to the nearest beach, the Wollongong beach, and go for a walk with my wife and my son, and just enjoy the outdoor nature and the exercise. How about you, Chan? What do you do after work?
So these days, working from home, I usually try and finish around 5:30, sometimes 6, because I do start a bit later than you. So usually start around 8:30 or 9 in the morning. And after work, I really try and draw that line. So I shut down my laptop and then get out of my study. And I would usually do a workout session inside, especially during winter now because it gets dark around 5:15, so it's a bit too late to go for a walk. So if there's still light, then I still go for a walk, but if not, I just do a workout inside. Again, one of the benefits of being an employee is that at night you have free time to do whatever you want. So spend time cooking and having dinner with my husband, and then after that we watch a movie or read and or work on our side hustle, the podcast. So it's definitely good.
Yeah, the difference now is that it's at nighttime. We have free time. We don't really have to do extra study or like homework or assignments, and instead we use the time to just enjoy the quality time with our families, and also working on our side hustle projects like podcasting like this. So yeah, it's definitely much better balance than when you were an international students, when everything is kind of everywhere during the day and you have to use your time wisely to finish your assignment or to study.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's that constant requirement in your mind when you're a student that, oh, I should be studying now,
Mm.
or I could be working on my assignment or revising for my exam. So that's a really good comparison that we just did between being a full time student and being a full time worker. And thank you for sharing your day with us, Kevin, because obviously our days are very different because I'm an accountant and you're a civil engineer. And it's really interesting to hear about your day on site and how you start really early.
So yeah, I think that's it. That's our full breakdown of what's the difference between a day in the life of an international student versus a day in the life of a full-time worker in Australia. I find it very fascinating the big difference between the two. And now that we went through both of them, I want to ask you, Chang, what is your personal choice like if you get to choose which one would you choose? Would you choose to be, like international students day, or would you choose the full-time workers day?
Ooh, that is I did actually think of this when I was writing the
Yeah.
notes. Because as you're writing the notes, you start to reminisce about the times you had at uni being a student
Yes.
and your time now being a worker. So I've been out in
Mm.
the workforce now for what, like over 6 years. So I guess both there are perks. So being a student, you get so much flexibility in
Mm.
time and you meet so many new people every day being on
Yep.
campus.
Yep.
And obviously you're taking in a lot of theory and you're studying a lot, you're learning new things. But being a worker, you do learn a lot of new things being in the workplace too, and you interact with colleagues, and obviously it's in a much more professional setting.
Yep. You have to
But
choose one. You can't.
I can't balance it out.
No, you can't
I
balance it. You have to choose one. Okay.
I if I had to choose one, I would definitely choose being a full-time worker.
Oh, I knew it.
Because I have the free time in
Yep.
the evenings and also on the weekends too. That's what we
Yeah.
could have mentioned when we're a student, is that on the weekends you'd be studying in
Yeah.
between, like meeting your friends and doing working casually. But when you're a full-time worker, Friday afternoon at 5, that's when you switch off and then you have the
Yeah.
whole weekend to chill and relax and recharge. So
Yeah.
my pick would definitely be being a full-time worker, and obviously financial reasons too.
Yeah.
You
True.
get better income being a full-time worker. But in saying that, you need to go through being a student before you can get to the stage where
Yeah.
you're a worker.
Yes.
So it's definitely like a worthwhile experience to go through the whole process, and you reap your reward at the end when you're working full time.
Yes.
So what about you, Kevin? If you had to pick one and redo it,
Yep. Yep.
what would you
Oh,
pick?
well, like you said, like I love at the moment, like I've been in the workforce probably over 5 years, and I love being a full-time worker where I can work on my side project in the evening. Like you said as well, and it helped financially. And you can switch off after work. But I'm maybe a little biased here during because of this COVID lockdown. It's kind of get really boring and really, down mood sometimes. So ideally, say speaking, if you don't have to worry about finance or anything, I'll probably pick the one being a international students because I kind of really miss the time when you can just hang out in uni, studying, and have coffee with your friends. When go out and play sports with your friends, and it's the time when you haven't had that much commitments in terms of families and finance, and you kind of more worry free. So just maybe because we are in lockdown and we have to worry about a lot of things, that I'm maybe a little bit biased here. But if I have to pick one right now, I'll probably pick being travel back in time, being international students all over again.
Oh, that's really interesting. I do agree with you. When you're at uni, you do worry about studying and keeping up
Mm,
your grades and stuff. But comparing to now, I think the level of responsibility and the level of pressure on your shoulders is definitely less being an international student. But I guess everyone have different journeys
yeah,
and different experience. So
yeah,
we're very excited to hear about what other international students would go through. So if
yeah, definitely.
you're an international student, please do leave us a comment in on our Instagram, the Koala Club Podcast, and leave us a comment on what your experience as an international student is like, or if you've already graduated or and is working full time now. Tell us, which one would you prefer? Would you prefer being
Yeah.
an international student again, or would you prefer being a full time worker?
Yeah, that's it. Let us know how's your day as a full-time worker as well. Like, compared to ours, maybe a lot of people will be much much harder worker like than us. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, like tell us how's your day like and what's your preference? What's your answer between a typical international day, international students day, and a full-time worker day?